Good morning. Chapter 10 Bitten by the Button Bug. Before I even find a seat on the bus Friday morning, the boy from yesterday, the one with the phone, gets right up in my face, talking fast. Those buttons, the red ones you gave me. You got any more of those? I found some really big green buttons and I'll trade them for some of those red ones if you want to. What do you say, huh? You want to trade? Let me sit down first, okay? I live pretty close to the school, so the bus is nearly full, and as I walk back to look for a seat, I'm in the middle of a massive swap session, and the kids calling to each other. I've got 15 little white buttons here, perfect for making a bracelet or something. I'm looking for buttons made of pewter. Anybody have any pewter? No pewter, but I've got these really nice brass ones. Brass? Does it have an eagle on it? No, it has a globe. I'll take it. What do you want for it? What do you got? I'm looking for some of those U.S. Navy buttons, the kind with the anchor. Pewter. Who's looking for pewter? I am. Phone boy is still with me, and I sit down. So, those red ones, you have any? First of all, my name is Grace. What's yours? Chris. How come you want more red buttons? What color is really, that color, it's really rare. I've got my eye on a couple of Coast Guard buttons, but I've got to get some good ammo before I try to make a trade. So I was thinking that these two big green guys ought to be worth about 8 of your red ones. What do you say? Hey, I want some of those red ones. Look at these yellow ones. Fantastic color, right? It's the boy who was joking about the button police yesterday, and the 4 yellow buttons he's offering to trade, they're mine. Some of the buttons I gave away from my trade at lunch on Wednesday, which means he must have gotten them from someone who was at our table. Except really, those buttons could have already changed hands 5 or 6 times. The driver slams the bus to stop and waves some cars past. Then she stands up and yells, "Get in your seats and stay there. Any more moving around when the bus is rolling, and I'll call the school and have the principal meet us at the curb. You've got that?" Everyone sits down fast, and there's a lot of nodding. And it's quiet. But the moment the bus moves, the yelling and trading picks up again, with kids sitting down. That scenario sort of reminds me of when we're walking down the hall and I tell you, please be quiet, and you're super quiet. Then I turn around and all the talking starts again. How I would love to hear that right now. The boy, Chris, hands me his 2 green buttons. Nice, huh? They're very large, at least 1.5 inches across, and they're carved on one side, sort of a notch on the front of the cuts across the 2 holes. Hold them up, he says. See how the light comes right through? Almost like glass or something. Really great buttons. Even though I have so many buttons, I haven't seen any like this pair. Not yet. And all of a sudden, I really want them. But without even thinking, I pretend I don't. Yeah, they're okay, I guess. But 8 of my red ones for 2? I don't think so. How about 7? And I know I've got him hooked. I'll trade 6, I guess. Okay, 6, deal. I dig around the bottom of my book bag and hand over 6 of my best blood red buttons. Our deal is complete, and I have never felt like this. Never in the whole world. Trading is so much fun. I hear myself calling out, "Who's got those pewter buttons?" "Back here, I've got 3. Pass them up to her." It's a girl 2 rows behind me, and I think she's a 5th grader. I study the buttons, and then I frown. "Oh, they're not the same. That's too bad." "Right," she says, "but they're all snowflake designs, and every snowflake is different, right? They're still pretty amazing." I can tell this girl's smart. I say, "Yeah, but I like it when buttons match, like those cranberry red buttons. I've got enough that somebody could actually sew them into a sweater. Such a great color." And I pass 3 of them back to her. "I think I've got 6. maybe 7 if you want to trade. These pewter buttons in my hand have a very nice weight to them, so solid. And just like the big green ones, I feel like I've got to own these buttons. I can tell the girl's not sold yet, so I say, I'll tell you what, how about I give you 3 of my red ones for each of these? Deal. And now this girl knows that she's got me on the hook. And she knows that I know that she knows. I think maybe 4 of the red ones for each of mine would be better. 12 total. How about that? 12 for 3. Okay, but you're getting a real good deal. I hunt around to find 9 more buttons, and I pass them back. Even though I feel like I got beat on this deal, I don't care. These pewter buttons feel so heavy, so real. I'm getting low on my red buttons, so I'm done trading for now. But I've got 7 other little sandwich bags of buttons in my locker, the ones I don't show at lunch on Wednesday. The ones I didn't show at lunch on Wednesday. I must have a couple thousand buttons there, all kinds. If I'm careful, I could probably get my hands on every single pewter button at school today. Probably even get... My mind stretches to a halt. What is wrong with me? I've been hearing this hyper little voice inside my head, and it's like I don't know who's talking. Because standing on the bus stop 5 minutes ago, I was Grace Hamlin, the careful scientist. I was all set to observe and analyze and take some notes. I was going to see if there were any new cases of button fever today. Then I got on the bus, and in 10 seconds, I morphed into a wild button zombie. Must get more buttons. A sudden sharp stillness fills my thinking. I look around me on the bus, and now I can see what's going on here. It's clear that not everybody has buttons. Probably only about 15 kids are actually trading, but every kid on the bus is totally tuned in, following each transaction and choosing sides too. There's a cheering section for every trade. Don't do it. Your button is way better than that piece of junk he's trying to give you. And something else, the kids who don't have any buttons, they wish that they did. And by Monday morning, my theory is that most of them will. That thought I had a minute ago, that I should rush to my locker and grab some button bags and keep on trading them like mad, I can't do that, no way. Because if I did, everyone would figure out that I've got a massive supply of amazing buttons. They would see that I have a huge advantage. They would probably think that it wasn't fair, which is true, I guess. So I better just be an observer here, a scientist, which is not the same as being in the action. It feels more like being a spy. I tell myself that I can do this, that I can stay outside the flow. I'm going to be scientific. I'm going to watch the events and keep trying to understand what's going on. That's what I tell myself. But as I get off the bus with 3 pewter buttons in my right hand and the 2 big green ones in my left hand, I am so glad that these buttons are mine. And I admit that it might be tough to stay true to my scientific goals, because that feeling of making a great trade, it's a hard thing to forget. So that's where we'll stop today. And I can see that Maddie and Mila have a lot they're thinking about, and they're creating creations with these buttons in their heads. And I can even see Riley making some sort of art project with these, or Julia. And boys, I can see you, many of you, doing the science there and the math. So keep thinking about the book, and I'll read chapter 11 tomorrow. Have a good day.